What's up, YouTube? Woo! Mr. Kane coming at you live from the studio. Here are the questions for the day. Please pause the video now and answer them. Next, note if you are missing any assignments, don't give up. You can always get help after school in tutoring using my link, or try the YouTube videos that I'm making right now. Cool. 20 facts presentations were postponed. Not that that matters since you're watching the video. Next, so today we are going to be taking notes about something called calorimetry. It's a fancy word that basically means how do you measure energy. That's what calorimetry is. Yep, I'll be going over it today. What you're going to learn about is when you walk on a beach, why does the sand burn more than the water? So if you've been to like LA, for example, and you're walking on the sand, your feet will be really hot and they won't cool down until you step in the water. Why is that? First one, energy inside your food. So to calculate the energy in something, you need to burn it. That's what scientists do. They'll basically burn it underwater because water is like a good standard they can set for all food. So let's say I burn my marshmallow, and it looks like this after. If I burn a marshmallow underneath a can of water, it gets 5 degrees hotter. And then when I burn an apple under a can of water, the water gets 8 degrees hotter. Try and think which one has more energy, the apple or the marshmallow, based on what I just told you. You should have said the apple because more of the chemical energy turned to heat energy, which made the can hotter than the marshmallow. Next, here is the formula you're going to be using today. It is said or called Q equals M cat. So I know this is a triangle, it's not an A, but it looks like an A, so they just say M cat. It may be a little daunting, you know it's a formula, but it only has letters. But what we're going over today is what those letters mean. So in your notes, what is the formula to calculate energy? Q equals M times C times, and to get the delta or the triangle, go to Insert, Special Characters, and then type delta. That's a good way to get degree symbols too. Click on it, you may not see it right away, but it's there. And then T. And if you want to get a picture, you can just copy that formula and Google it, and then get a photo that you like. I'm just going to get a simple one right here. And then we're going to go over what each of those letters means today. Okay. First letter I want you to know is Q. Q basically means the amount of energy. So to describe how much energy something has, we either say it has this many joules or this many calories. We usually use calories for food, joules for everything else, like electricity or for heat. That's all joules. So here's my example. The spaghetti on the left, this big boy has 590 joules, but the one on the right, this little appetizer, only has 120 joules. And when I say joule, I don't mean like a diamond. I mean it's spelled like this. It's named after a scientist who discovered how to measure energy. Some joule guy, okay. Because science was dominated by men in the old days. Okay, so that's Q. Next, M. M is mass. Mass is very similar to weight. Just think of mass as how much something weighs. We use grams because we're usually not doing things that are super heavy in chem. So mass, grams, how much something weighs. Next, specific heat. C, the C represents something called specific heat. That might be a little new. Specific heat is basically how much energy you put in to something to heat 1 gram of it by 1 degree. So it's just very simple, just how much energy you need to put into something to heat up 1 gram of it by 1 degree. It's the standard, something we can use to compare different types of materials. So in your notes, please write down specific heat is what C is, and it's how much energy you use to heat up 1 gram by 1 degree. That's why the units are joules, and then you have a little division symbol, and then grams, degree, Celsius, because it's how much energy to heat up 1 gram, 1 degree. Next, I have a question for you. Let's say the specific heat of turkey is 3.4 joules per gram per degree. So turkey is just 3.4, but beef is 2.8 joules per gram per degree. Now I want you to think, based on those two specific heats, which one will take longer to cook? If you cooked before, you may know this already. Think about it for a sec. You should notice that because the specific heat for turkey is 0.6 joules per gram more, you'll need to put in more energy to heat up turkey to get it to the same degree that you would for beef. So since turkey you need to put more energy in, turkey will take longer to cook. Okay. Next, I have another problem for you. This one is a little trickier. So remember, specific heat is to heat up 1 gram by 1 degree. But let's see if I use 4.4 joules. I'm using 4.4 joules of energy to heat up 1 gram of gold, 2 degrees. 2 now. 2 degrees? What is gold's specific heat? Try and think about it based on this. And I give you this problem. How much is gold's specific heat? I'll give you a hint. Look, it's 2 degrees. I'm using 4.4 joules. You should have noticed specific heat is usually only for 1 degree. But since I used 4.4 joules for 2 degrees, divide 4.4 by 2. Cut it in 2. So you should get 2.2 is the specific heat for gold. All right, next, delta T. Delta is the Greek letter, and it means change. So when you see this in the world, know that the triangle means change, and then T stands for temperature. So delta T is change in temperature. So here's my problem for you. If the power goes out in my house, it goes from 25 degrees to 12 degrees, then what is delta T? Think about it right now. I'll give you a hint. Positive and negative does matter. Okay, so you should have noticed, since my house went down, and you do 25 minus 12, 13, but since it got colder, you'll know that it's negative. So the change is negative 13 degrees because it got colder 13 degrees. Okay. Now I'm going to put it all together. So here's the formula. Q equals MCAT. Q is the amount of energy. M is the mass. C is the specific heat, how much heat you need to turn it into 1 degree hotter. And then you have the delta T, how much the temperature will change. Which makes sense because you need to know how hot it's going to get, and then you'll need to know how much energy it usually takes to heat 1 degree. So that is a formula. Now we're going to practice. We're going to do one question today because we don't have time to do the rest. So the first one, how much energy in joules do I need to heat 100 grams of water and take it from 35 degrees Celsius all the way to 100 degrees Celsius? Also note, the specific heat of water is 4.18 joules per grams per Celsius. So I want you to attempt this problem first before going over the answer. You'll learn more that way. My hint, use the formula, figure out what you already know, what you can find out, and then what you need. Pause the video now and try and do the work yourself. Note, if you need a hint, the first step should be to find delta T. Okay, so I'm boiling water. I want to cook some pasta. So I know it cooks me a while to boil water, so it should be a lot of energy. So 100 grams, that's the mass. And then C is the specific heat, which is 4.18. But I don't know delta T, but I can find out because my water needs to go from 35 to 100 degrees. So you could do 100 minus 35 in your head, or you could look up a calculator. Okay, 100 minus 35. So that is delta T. So now I have everything I need to find Q, or the amount of energy. I know the mass. Mass is 100 times the specific heat, 4.18, times delta T, 65. That will give me the amount of energy. So 65 times 4.18 times 100 grams. Boom. That's the answer, 27,170 joules of energy. Now, I didn't have time in class to do these last two problems. So don't worry, just get to this point. Get to this last one, turn it in. You won't turn it in until Friday because we still have to do these two. Once again, I'll show you the work, how I did it. I figured out what I was giving, and then I figured out what I needed, and then I put it into the equation. And I got 27,170 joules. Thank you so much, everyone. We'll finish the rest on Monday. Have a great weekend.